The original World of Warcraft was released on November 23, 2004. Like Warcraft 3, the game had standard and collector's editions. The 2004 Collector's Edition still is extremely valuable. It included a lot of perks inside. The in-game perk is one of 3 unique pets. Currently, each of them is extremely rare. Another perk was the Behind the Scenes DVD. It was an exclusive DVD featuring game trailers and developer commentary. The most interesting part, even from a modern perspective, was the Extra Features section. This is one of the videos from the Extra Features section, with improved audio and video quality. Also, subtitles in multiple languages are available. Please use the CC button to enable them. If you enjoy this video, please consider supporting Clever Play channel with a like, comment, share, or even a cup of coffee. Behind the Scenes, Part 4, Animation.
One thing you may notice with World of Warcraft is the characters are really animated, and a lot of that just comes from a traditional 2D animation background carried over into 3D. So one thing that we pride in our animators is just taking it to that next level in 3D. None of our animations are motion captured. We just feel that the World of Warcraft is such an animated and colorful environment that the hand animation was the only way to kind of really truly, bring it to life.
Between the characters and players, we have about 4,000 unique animations. We have about 2,000 unique player character animations, and we have about 2,000 unique creature animations.
So between the 16 character races, that's male and female, each have about 120 to 130 plus unique hand-done animations.
Each creature has anywhere between 10 and 20 animations, depending on where the creature is going to be used. If it's a boss or a sub-boss, then generally they have more animations, than something like your typical wolf or something along those lines.
And in the case of non-player characters, NPCs, wherever we were able to use one of our player characters as an NPC, well, of course, they're going to, just inherit, those 120 plus unique animations, which is really nice. The designers can do really cool things with quests, having access to all those animations.
We also tried to inject some of the Warcraft humor. Warcraft 3, Warcraft 2, these games have a lot of humorous elements in them, and we wanted to make sure that we captured some of that in the World of Warcraft. A lot of the creatures have, some really unique stances. If you watch a creature for a while, they'll do some really humorous kind of animations. The Sea Giant is a great example because if you watch him long enough, you'll see that he'll actually fart. It's actually very rare, so you have to watch them for a long time, but there's a lot of humorous and very subtle elements in the game.
Here you have this giant, ominous, insanely powerful creature, and yet we'll inject some of that Blizzard humor with the Sea Giant passing wind. Of course, he does it in his own special way. He's a Sea Giant, so of course a gigantic bubble would come from him, and then he's very inquisitive, so of course he's going to pop that bubble, and of course what it ends with is something, just really unique to what Blizzard does.
Another example is the kobolds. If you watch them, they'll chase their tail every so often. The ogres will scratch their rear end. Each of the player characters has over 25 unique emote animations, and those really help add a lot of character, and in some cases really give each character a sense of humor.
We did have some basic guidelines that we had to stay within. The attack animations had to be a set length. Special attack animations could be a little bit longer. We made sure that weapons made contact at a certain frame rate so that we could make combat look real and believable in the game, so that when you're knowing when a character or creature is going to be hitting, you can time all of your, dodges, blocks, parries to make combat more, lifelike and real.
Yeah, it's really important to have a creature react when a character swings the sword and hits the creature. Without that exact timing, it doesn't come across as realistic and comes across as very fake.
Sometimes it'd be challenging to get the character to hit at a certain frame. In the end, it was just something you got used to, and it really didn't cause any problems.
Another thing too, with keeping the different animations at a reasonable length, is it really helps facilitate gameplay. You don't want the player to be waiting around for an animation to play that's really long. You want to keep things very snappy and at a good pace. When we first started a creature or a character, a lot of times the first thing we would do is try to come up with their neutral stand pose. This is the pose that they're standing in most of the time, and it really conveys a lot of the character. So getting that down first can save a lot of time for animation later on.
Yeah, because sometimes we would take a creature or character just a little bit too far, a little out of the scope of what design, had in mind. And so, to save time, we would just get them into certain poses and kind of show those and then get one of those approved. And then we'd know at that point, what direction to take the character or the creature in. Each player race has a unique mount, and those mounts were designed to basically reflect each character. In the case of humans riding horses, makes perfect sense. Gnomes, we wanted to have something lighthearted and something that would reflect their inclination to tinker. And so we have the Mechanostrider, which is a mechanical, ostrich. Night Elves ride tigers, which kind of flows with the whole Priestess of the Moon in Warcraft 3. The Dwarfs ride rams. At one point, they rode boars, and it just didn't quite look right. It was interesting, definitely, but we ultimately came up with the rams. So not only did we have unique mounts per race, but we also have some extremely unique mounts per class. And in the case of the Paladin and the Warhorses, and the Warlocks can summon a Nightmare. So the Nightmare is a little bit different than the typical undead horse that the undead ride, in that it essentially is more of an ethereal, dark stallion with, blazing hooves and blazing eyes, in which case we were able to incorporate some of our spell effects into the models to create that unique look. We had a lot of fun animating the unique individual mounts for each character.
Some of the creatures were particularly challenging, especially the elemental type creatures, whether it be wind, fire, water elemental. These are not very solid. They're made up of different elements that are very difficult to convey in a video game. Using polygons, it's very difficult to create an ethereal kind of look.
In the case of say, a water elemental, if you were to kill it, essentially it just dissipates into nothing. And of course that posed some, technical issues with how are we supposed to loot nothing after we've killed it. And so we would go in and say, okay, well, we need something like bracers or something solid. And so of course we would drop bracers, as the creature is fading away. We drop some piece of armor so that a character could see something on the ground and it would sense, oh, okay, I can loot this. There's multiple boss creatures in the World of Warcraft, and they're treated a little bit different than the standard creature. We had some technical limitations on creatures. We weren't to exceed a certain, bone number, bone count, animation count. Those restrictions were pretty much removed with boss creatures, since a lot of the times you're going to be encountering them by themselves and not in a group. A lot of times we're able to use more bones, more animations. You're going to see definitely a level of intensity, higher than the standard creature. You're going to see we definitely spent more time on the boss creatures just because we really wanted them to have a huge impact in the game.
If you enjoy this video, please consider supporting Clever Play channel by liking, commenting, sharing, or even buying us a cup of coffee.